Hey, you cool cats and kittens. Welcome back. Today we've got a very chill sit-down book accumulation, a book haul of books that I've gotten. These, spoiler alert, I got a lot of these in 2025. Some of these I've had since mid-2025, and I'm just now talking about them. I really don't buy that many books throughout the year. I try to be pretty selective about what books I get. Sometimes if I'm just in the moment in a thrift store, I pick up a book, and I am also in a position where I'm fortunate enough to be sent books, so I have a couple of those as well. I think this is going to kind of frame my reading journey for this year. This is a lot of what I talked about in my ins and outs, the books that I want to be reading. I feel pretty good about it, so let's start. Why don't we? The first book that I have is a book that was sent to me last year, and this is from Influx Press. This is called Tender by Lauren Duplace. Show it up here. Hello. There we go. Looks like it's a folkloric horror with explorations of womanhood against a backdrop of eco-anxiety. Okay. This says, Nell has curated a perfect museum of the self, a successful career in archaeobotany. That sounds right. A pastel Instagram filled with flowers and an uncompromising manicure routine. She's convinced that her veneer of perfection will mask the parts of her she'd rather not think about. When two bog bodies are discovered in elaborate floral graves in a Somerset fen, Nell seizes the opportunity to excavate their secrets. But the deeper she digs into the fertile, waterlogged earth, the more she uncovers memories of her unsettled childhood and strained relationship with her sister. And the more her body manifests her own wildness in ways she can't ignore. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think that this would be a book I could read relatively quickly. It has pretty big text. Again, not something I would normally pick up, but yeah, I think this might go into some weird girl fiction, which I'm always on board to get down with. Okay. Identified as a weird girly right here. It's so weird. So weird. And then to go completely parallel with that, a book that seems like it's, in the same exact family, not. I have The Pearl by John Steinbeck. Now look at this. This is completely waterlogged. Absolutely smells like mold. Oh yeah, smells like an attic. Smells like mothballs and a forgotten history. Oh yeah, this I got, oh my goodness, last year in September, maybe August. There was an outside estate sale, and this was in a completely unmanned tent. Nobody was there. It was just these boxes of books. It had rained the night before, and they just had a sign on the boxes that said free. And I found this, and I said, oh my goodness, I will absolutely get this book for free. I also love that this is a school version. They were teaching this in a school, Cambridge Central School in Cambridge, New York, which is where the estate sale or the outside yard sale, whatever you want to call it, was. I love that, and I am really into the fact that this is so waterlogged and gross looking. One of Steinbeck's short stories, obviously, but it's an enduring classic fable, sensitively told in simple and beautiful language. It's the story of a fisherman who found a pearl beyond price, the pearl of the world. With the pearl, he hoped to buy peace and happiness for himself, his wife, and their little son. Instead, he found that peace and happiness are not to be purchased. They are themselves pearls beyond price. I feel like I don't even need to read the rest of the book. That's such a beautiful synopsis. The Pearl is a book to be read many times and cherished forever. I want to read all of Steinbeck's books. I've gotten pretty good in that way, but I still need to get to this one, and this should be something that I read quickly. I mean, God, come on now. That's big old text, right? That is big old, that's a day read. I should be getting to that very easily. I'm going through some insane book slumpage right now, and I don't know what's going on with me. I really don't. It doesn't feel great, but I'm hoping going through these books will motivate me, and also just going into bookstores has been a really nice motivator for me. I don't know what's going on at all. After that, we have Salt by Mark Kurlansky. I talked about wanting to read this book in my ins and outs, and here it is. Look at that. Salt. Just a book about salt. This was from my grandmother. I bought this for her for Christmas. She read it. She gave it to my dad. My dad got about this far, and he said, it's a great book. I just don't have it in me to finish it. He set it out, and I took it. And here it is in my hands. This is just a history of salt. Just where would my life be without salt? I don't know. Less swollen, that's for sure. Less eye bags, probably. I only this past year started to really add salt to my food. I'm a very bland individual. I really can't stress enough how bland I am. Salt, it's made me a little zesty, a little different. But I cannot wait to read this. Look at this. It says, until about 100 years ago, when modern geology revealed its prevalence, salt was one of the world's most sought after commodities, a substance so valuable it served as currency. Salt has influenced establishment of trade routes in cities, provoked and financed wars, secured empires, and inspired revolutions. Populated by colorful characters and filled with fascinating details, Mark Kurlansky's kaleidoscopic and illuminating history is a multi-layered masterpiece that blends economic, scientific, political, religious, and culinary records into a rich and memorable tale. Come on now. I think he also wrote a book about the Basque country, which I'm really interested in because my uncle's Basque. So I want to read that. Look at that. Hell to the yeah. Hell to the yeah. And speaking of history, listen, you know that I'm a huge history buff, okay? And lately I've been learning how to intake my information through more illustration-based knowledge. Hello, berserkers, I see you, okay? You know that I'm getting into illustration-based things. And once you know that there's a book that combines history and illustration together, let me introduce you to the book, The Ultimate Guide to Rebuilding Civilization. This is a captivating, illustrated encyclopedia of some humankind's greatest discoveries and inventions. There are over 400 plus pages, 180 topics, and 23 chapters filled with the most illuminating facts. What I particularly like about this is that it's broken down into concise and understandable sections. Right here you have tools. Would you look at that? The feel of these pages almost feels like you're scrolling through some ancient text. Like this is something that has been here forever. And if the world was to stop and an alien life form was to find this, they'd say, yes. This is the way of the world. And the book is a perfect gift, not just to give to yourself, but also to the ones that you love. It's a great conversation starter, and for all of us history and nonfiction lovers, it offers so many stimulating base points to jump from, and it encourages you to think deeper and bigger. And trust me, it's not just me who thinks this. The Indiegogo and Kickstarter campaigns raised $1 million to back this book. And there were over 50 plus professionals involved in the creation. And it was a 2023 bestseller. And also, if that didn't pique your interest, let me tell you that there is a hidden game aspect throughout this book. You know that I love games, okay? So not only am I learning things on every single page, but there is the aspect of an additional stimulant throughout this. The concept of pairing facts to a hidden game is my love language. And if you would like to own the book and complete the hidden quest by yourself, you can do so by clicking the link in my bio and using the code AnnaWallace10 for an additional discount. You can also scan the QR code on the screen. Thank you so much to the book for sponsoring today's video, and for those of us who are interested in history, this is something special. And I know for a fact that there's a chapter on salt. Okay, let's get into a couple more bookies that I have. Ooh, my foot is asleep. Sorry about that. I talked about, and this is like a reoccurring theme in what I've been wanting to read. I've been talking about wanting to get into more bestsellers from a couple of years ago, like early 2000s, late 90s. And I was in a bookstore and they had this book, which I'd never even heard of. This is Karen Joy Fowler. We Are All Completely Besides Ourselves, which I've never even heard of this book, but this was a finalist for the Man Booker Prize. And this says, meet the Cook family, mother and dad, brother Lowell, sister Fern, and Rosemary, who begins her story in the middle. She has her reasons. I was raised with a chimpanzee, she explains. I tell you, Fern is a chimp, and already you aren't thinking of her as my sister, until Fern's expulsion. She is my twin, my funhouse mirror, and my whirlwind other half. I loved her as a sister. As a child, Rosemary never stopped talking. Then something happened, and Rosemary wrapped herself in silence. And we are all completely besides ourselves. Karen Joy Fowler weaves her most accomplished work to date, a tale of loving but fallible people whose well-intentioned actions lead to heartbreaking consequences. This sounds so much like what I want to read right now. I love a family saga. I love a little bit of a complicated family, and I especially love daughters just in situations, precarious situations, and that's what this feels like to me. Like I said, I want to know what made it so best-selling when it first came out and why I haven't really heard of it after. Or maybe she's a huge writer and I just don't know her, okay? Maybe ignorance is bliss. Who knows? Maybe it's horrible. I don't know. I've also been talking a lot about getting into Scandinavian literature, reading Paradise Rot for my book club pick this month, which I need to get to. My book slump is horrible. Okay, my reading slump is horrible. I saw that there was this very small Jan Fosse. I looked it up, and I'm hoping that's somewhat correct. I know his name. I've just never spoken it out loud, okay? This is the book. And what I like about this is that it is just a weird, depressing love story, it feels like. If you can even call it a love story, I'll read you the synopsis. It says, Jatgir travels from the fishing village of Veim to the city in search of a needle and thread. Cheated twice, he returns to his boat, where he falls asleep as waves rock the hull. Soon he is awakened by a voice. A woman is calling his name from the quay. There stands Aline, the secret love of his youth and the namesake of his boat, with a packed suitcase. Aline pleads to come aboard. In what follows, this single encounter reverberates across 3 stories, 3 narrators, and 3 deaths. And this is relatively new, from my understanding. I think came out in maybe 2024. Does that sound right? Maybe 2023 it came out. I'm really interested to get into his work, and I feel that this is a good way to get into it. If it maybe reads a little too dense, I'll be fine with just being able to sit through something this small. So very excited about that. Very, very, very excited. And feels a little bit different than what I usually read. I mean, not really, but kind of, kind of. We're reaching new horizons, okay? In 2026, new horizons. I have a book that I'm very excited to have picked up. I got this from the Goodwill, and I feel when I'm picking up books now, especially books that I think I'm probably going to keep in my collection, or I think are by really great authors or would be considered classics. I want to get vintage editions that really speak to me, that I would want to keep. I want to have their presence on my bookshelf. And I've been putting off getting a couple of Toni Morrison books because I'm not so in love with a lot of the covers. And I know that this is such a silly thing. It's the words are the most important thing. I know this, but let a girl have fun, okay? I finally found a copy of Jazz that I'm so into. This might not be everybody's cup of tea, but I just think that is such a beautiful, beautiful cover. And I imagine it's going to really fulfill what this book is about. I haven't read Jazz. Feel that people love this. This might be one of people's favorites, Morrison. I feel like it's constantly having a huge pool of attraction. I want to get into it, okay? I want to get into it. Jazz is a story of a triangle of passion, jealousy, murder, and redemption, of sex and spirituality, of slavery and liberation, of country and city, of being male and female, African American, and above all, being human. Like the music of its title, is a dazzlingly lyric play on elemental themes, as soaring and daring as Charlie Parker's solo, as heartbreakingly powerful as the blues. It is Pulitzer Prize-winning novelist Toni Morrison at her best. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I love that. And I love that there's a sticker on there. Just stuck on there. I don't even know where that sticker's from, but I love that. Where has this traveled? Where has this been? Love it. Love it. And then after that, I have a book that somebody once told me to read a while ago. And then my mother, she's always out on the hunt for books. I love you. I love you, Mom. You're great. Thank you so much for your support. She doesn't read. I mean, she knows how to read, but she doesn't read. She doesn't read that often. She just reads to me a lot as a kid, so she helped form that bond and that passion in me. But she doesn't read a lot now. But she's always on the look for books, and she'll see some at tag sales, and she'll just pick up like 30 of them. She's like, they were only $1. They were only $1, so I got them all. Sometimes it's a hit, sometimes it's a flop, and that's okay. She's so encouraging of my passions, and I love her for that. She picked up this book, and I'm so excited because I've only heard really awesome things about this, and from my understanding, this takes place in Georgia, and it's coming around that time of year where I'm going to have to rewatch True Detective. And I mean, it doesn't take place in Georgia, True Detective, but I love a Southern crime, okay? I love it. This, from my understanding, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, is about Southern crime, honey. Oh, yeah. Yeah, baby. I love me some Southern crime. What's going on down south? They're killing people. I think that's what that's about. Okay, yeah. Good. I would have been very upset if I did that whole performance and this was like a love story. Shots rang out in Savannah's grandest mansion in the misty early morning hours of May 2nd, 1981. Was it murder or self-defense? For nearly a decade, the shooting and its aftermath reverberated throughout this hauntingly beautiful city of moss-hung oaks and shaded squares. I've been to Savannah. I love Savannah. I think it's one of the best cities in the United States. It's beautiful. Sharply observed, suspenseful, and witty narrative reads like a thoroughly engrossing novel, and yet it is a work of nonfiction. Skillfully interweaves a hugely entertaining first-person account of life in this isolated remnant of the Old South with the unpredictable twists and turns of a landmark murder case. I didn't even realize that this was nonfiction. Look at that. I didn't even realize that this was nonfiction. I think that they also made a movie about this. Maybe. I have had this on audiobook. I didn't get to it in time, so now I'm just going to sit with the physical book. This, I think, is going to be awesome, and I can't wait to read it. Oh, yeah. And then I also have, this was sent to me by Penguin Random House. This is another nonfiction, and this is Sea of Grass, The Conquest, Ruin, and Redemption of Nature on the American Prairie. Now, I need you to know that I was taken on a cross-country road trip by my father when I was in 8th grade, okay? Old enough to know better, too dumb to care. Let's just say that's what I was at that age. I had my Razor flip phone. I was texting my friends, and I hated being taken out of school for a week to go on this cross-country road trip. And the pinnacle of my hatred was being in the prairie, on the plains. And I said, there's nothing more boring in this world than the American plains, the American prairies. And you know what? As an adult, I have since revisited that entire area of the United States. I think it's one of the most beautiful places in the world that I've been to, okay? That I've been to. There's something there that feels like a world shouldn't exist there, but it does. People go on living. It's a epicenter of our agriculture, and it's beautiful, and I am really touched because I want to learn more about it. The North American prairie is an ecological marvel, a lush carpet of grass that stretches to the horizon and home to some of the nation's most iconic creatures: bison, elk, wolves, pronghorn, prairie dogs, and bald eagles. Plants, microbes, and animals together make the grasslands one of the richest ecosystems on Earth and a massive carbon sink, but the constant expansion of agriculture threatens what remains. This, I think, is going to be all about that ecosystem, which for a little nerd like me, this sounds right up my alley. Yeah. And then after that, I have some book mail, okay? And we're gonna open the book mail together, right? Let's do it. Oh, cool. Aww. So this book I'm so excited about is from a friend of the channel, someone who I've really gotten to know and enjoy corresponding with. I was just reading the wonderful little letter that he wrote. This is Interstellar Theme Park, New and Selected Writing by Jack Skelly. Jack, you may recognize his name on the channel because he wrote The Complete Fear of Kathy Acker, which I read last year. A very weird and fun book, and Jack is a character in the best way possible. I really enjoyed getting to know him. This is so beautifully bound. It looks like it's selected writings. It looks like it's a little bit of poetry here as well. That's awesome. That is so cool. Look at that. And here we go. Speaking of Kathy Acker. Right there. Look at that. Ah! And the note fell out. Thank you so much, Jack. Please check out Jack. I have a couple of his other books as well that I need to get to. This is a really amazing edition, and this is a beautifully put out book. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Jack. You're an icon, a legend, and dare I even say, the moment. And then the last book that I have today to talk about is a book that was just sent to me. And this is out by Grove Atlantic. I'm really excited for this one as well. This is by an author that I haven't gotten into, but I've wanted to. And this is his newest book. And that is Douglas Stewart, who, if you don't know, that's fine. That's okay. But he is the author of Shuggie Bain and Young Mungo, which were huge bestsellers. I think Shuggie Bain won the Booker Prize, correct? This says, out of money and with little to show for his art school education, John Callum MacLeod takes the ferry back home to the Isle of Harris to find that little has changed except for him. He returns to the windswept croft and the two pillars of his childhood, his father John, a sheep farmer, tweed weaver, and lay preacher in the local Presbyterian church, and his maternal grandmother, Ella, a profanity-loving, love that, love her, Glaswegian, whose steady warmth helped Cal weather the sudden departure of his mother. Cal privately wonders if any lonely men might be found on the barren hillside of home, while John is dismayed by his son's long hair, strange clothes, and seeming unwillingness to be saved. But Cal isn't the only one in the Croft house who is keeping secrets. As lambing season turns to shearing season, the threads holding the community together become increasingly frayed, and nothing will remain as it was before. So cool. It's out May 5th. That's when this comes out. So yeah, guys, I think I have the most random spread of books here. It's not much, but like I said, I don't really get too many books throughout the year, and I try to be pretty selective about the books that I have, and I'm always getting rid of books, so it's fun to get rid and then take on new ones. But yeah, let me know what you're reading. Hopefully these motivate me to pick up a book and get back into the swing of things. Anyway, you guys are wonderful. You're fabulous. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you in the next one.